My name is Thulani Nkala on Matabeleland Broadcasting Corporation on the Big Conversations program today. Today I bring you Chief Nhlanhlayamangwe Ndiweni, the son of our iconic Ndebele Paramount Chief Kaisa Ndiweni. Chief Nhlanhlayamangwe is the current reigning chief of Ntabazinduna. Following Mnangagwa's commissioning of the memorial monument at the Pupu site on the 21st of March, that is 2023, he has written a scathing article against what he calls Zanu PF Administration and its machinations. We are lucky and honored to have him on Matabeleland Broadcasting Big Conversation program. He is here to help us explain why he has written such a scathing article against President Mnangagwa and the Zanu PF administration. Baba Ndiweni, we welcome you on Matabeleland Broadcasting Corporation.
Thank you, Baba Nkala. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you too for the invitation from yourself and also from your viewership. Thank you very much indeed.
No, thanks very much. Yeah, for people to understand where you're coming from, I think it will be best for us to start from the beginning, which is 1893, where the Ndebele nation succumbed. If you don't mind, if you could explain to us about that war of 1893, how it started, why was there a war in 1893?
Thank you, Baba Nkala. Thank you very much indeed. The details inside this matter are many, so I will summarize it in chunks so that at least our conversation can flow and many other topics can come in. Let me begin by answering your question firstly. There are some matters in which politics cannot come in. We must understand that as a people, as a nation, that politics is not the overseer of everything. There are some boundaries, there are some doors which politics must not open, must not touch, must not go through. That defines us as an African people. It is one of the reasons why we had the War of Liberation, because we were searching for Ubuntu betu. We were looking for our African identity. We cannot, now that we're liberated, chuck that identity away by allowing politics to enter doors which it should not enter doors in. Vital, people understand that. In that particular conversation, I'm not asking anybody, I'm not asking the political establishment, I'm simply telling the political establishment a fact, that there are only one profession. You can be a doctor, that's another profession, a lawyer, that's another profession, a teacher, that's another profession. To be a politician is one profession. Be careful how you work. We come to the matter of 1893. It began just a little bit in 1892, December. 1892, December. There, during that time, King Lobungula was there in office. Everything was working well. Cecil Rhodes and all his colleagues and Wilson and the likes were up in Salisbury. They were working well. But the Rhodes administration in Salisbury was in financial crisis. Money was not coming as fast as it can. The gold they were looking for was not coming quickly. They had financial constraints, which meant that they need to look elsewhere for additional resources. So in December 1892, suddenly overnight, a telegraph pole, a number of telegraph poles were knocked over. Telegraph was the way of communication at that time. So that occurred in December 1892. When it occurred at that time, it so happened that King Lobengula had sent a small party over the Rudd Jameson line to look for people who have been stealing for cattle. So these two events combined. And so the Rhodes administration was saying, but look, gentlemen, what are you doing on this side of the river? They were looking for the ones who stole the telegraph poles and the wires. The small raiding party from the king was looking for the king's cattle. They discussed it and they said, we need to formalize a way of working so that we do not clash at a later date. We jump forward, May 1893, bam, another telegraph pole and system is knocked over. This time round, Cecil Rhodes and all of the other people said, no, we will go in and arrest those people there who did that. In the midst of arresting those people there, they also came across the king's cattle, which the king was looking for. They took all of these items and took them back with them to say, no, these are ours now. We will deal with this matter. There must be a clarity in this. Telegraphs were sent between His Royal Majesty and the Rudds to see what's going on until the Rudd said, okay, King, we will give you back your cattle at Thuli. Bear in mind Thuli. We'll come back to it. They said, we will give you the cattle back in Thuli. And so it continued. That was in May. But in June, the king said, no, let me take actions to look for additional cattle that have been stolen. And so he sent a small group of soldiers, about 70, to go over and look for those. And he came across some of those and he brought them back. And then he sent word to Cecil John Rhodes and Alan Wilson and Forbes and all of those who were there to say, gentlemen, this is only the beginning of June. Come the end of June, 28th of June, 1893, I would like to send a big party, raiding party, to really look across the whole bush. That it will be a regiment of 5,000 troops to come looking right across the bush. So I'm giving you due warning in advance to say we are not fighting. My troops are not coming to fight against you. My troops are coming to work with you to help you restore law and order. But also I'm looking for the thieves who stole my cattle and who continue to steal my cattle day in, day out. And so that correspondence went and it was there and they received it and they understood it by that. That was the end of June. At the end of June, there, beginning of July, the issues were higher because when that raiding party came through, it stopped at Fort Victoria. There in Fort Victoria, the settlers became afraid. They were worried. They were saying, here is the war now. Here's the war. We are in danger. We're in trouble. So the whole brigade stood outside of Fort Victoria. And when they went in, the two Zinduna who were going ahead, leading this patrol, that was Induna Umgandan, Nduna Umoya. They said, no, they won't go in. We would like to talk with you. The settlers said, no, our chiefs are not here. Jameson is not here. He's on the way, but please, can you wait for him so that we understand how we can work together? They waited. They waited to see him come through. So come 17 July, he came through. And then he got correspondence when he came through on the 17th of July. He got a correspondence from Cecil John Rhodes. The correspondence said, look here, James, if you're going to deal with the Ndebele, deal with them hard. Hit them hard. I'll come back to that. The following day, the 18th, Jameson goes outside. He goes to meet the leaders of this brigade, Nduna Umgandan, Nduna Umoyan, to talk to them about the whole thing. Harsh words were said. The young Nduna Umgandan was very harsh. He did not give Jameson any leeway at all. to try and do funny business. He was harsh, he was young, he was full of zeal and power. And the notes are there that Jameson wrote, said, this chief is arrogant. Chief is terrible. And so they had the conversation. Having had the conversation, they said, okay, fine. We will leave and go back into our territory and do that. Jameson said, I'll give you 1 hour. Now, they were looking at 30 miles to cover 1 hour. Give you 1 hour. In that 1 hour, they were already on the way out of the area. And as you see, a huge brigade, 5,000 troops. It doesn't march all in one go. What they did is they put out spies who go before it, 400, 500, to make sure that the coast is clear, that things are fine, and the remainder follows through with that. As they're going through and having left Fort Victoria, they were making good pace. These are troops, well-trained. Distance is no problem. They covered it up in no time at all. Come 2 a.m. on the 18th of July, 2 a.m., as the front brigade was coming through, the ones who are the scouts, they came round the mountain, and there is a mound, is a mounted patrol, fully armed. They are there. It's as if they are coming from Kumtwalazi, coming back to Fort Vic. How did they get there? We do not know. We do not know what triggered the whole thing. Gunfire started, shooting started between this troop, which was probably about 40 or 50 on horseback, and these 400 who were going out there. In the process of that gun exchange and the likes, Nduna Umgandane lost his life. He died there. They picked him up and they continued going out, sending word back to the main troop, who's now being led by Moyano, saying, no, we've had an issue here, but we've separated. They've gone their way, we've gone our way. We are continuing with that. And so it continued in that way. Now, obviously, when it came up to the king, they're arriving back at the king to give the message of what happened. But the king got message from Jameson before his troops arrived to say, this is what happened at Fort Victoria. The king, wanting not a fight, not wanting a battle to come through, replied to Jameson on that same day, no, Jameson, if you handled it well, I'm grateful to you. I'm grateful to you that we are keeping law and order. I'm grateful to you that everything is going well. When the troops arrived and gave the king the true version, the king went ballistic. You mean Jameson attacked? Jameson is still refusing with my cattle. We are now pushing the envelope. We're now on the 5th of October. In the middle of that, the king is still trying to find a solution of let us not fight. And he's talking with Jameson, and things are going through okay. Jameson is trying to knock down any possibility of a fight. And the king is trying also to do that. But on the ground, things are different. Even though we're in October now, 5 October, Jameson had started preparing for war with Ndebele on the 1st of July, 1893. He had started preparing for the war. They had been talking with their commanders. They had sent commanders to Tuli, where there was an arms cache, huge fire weapons there for them, which they wanted to secure before the engagement started. This all preparation is happening. The king is not aware of it. The king is taking them on their word that they are serious about this whole thing. To this end, the king sends envoys to Cape Town, High Commission, United Kingdom, to go and speak to them. He sends his old friend, Mchete, who came to the United Kingdom 1889 with Babian to see Queen Victoria. Chete is still there, trusted, diplomat. And Babankala, this is what I would want people to understand. When we are speaking about this, we are talking about nation engaging another nation, diplomats, ambassadors, correspondents, written down documentation. We are talking fully fledged nations in all your descriptions between Amandebele and the English. There is no Fanigo law. There's no talking about a small tribe. There's no. This is nation state against nation state in its fullest complexities. As we see the current day Zimbabwe, so it was with us. And so having sent ambassadors to Cape Town to talk with them, when they arrived there in good intent, wanting to talk and discuss everything, the day before they arrived at Cape Town, the ambassador there, the high commissioner there, got a telegram coming from Rhodes and Wilson. Whatever you do, Your Excellency, it said, when Mchete comes, do not entertain him. He is a liar. He's two-faced. You cannot trust anything he says. And this is written down in documents. Everything I'm saying here is written down, Baba. There's nothing thinking, nothing. No, we're talking facts here. So Mchete arrives there and they're talking with the High Commissioner, Sir Henry Locke, to say, look, how can we craft peace? How can we do peace amongst our nations? How can we move forward with this? They are talking right the way through. It's coming to the 4th of October. They are still talking, still engaging. It's coming to the 5th of October. They're still talking, engaging. By the 5th of October, Jameson had got his troops together and they began marching, heading for Bulawayo, while the king's ambassadors are in Cape Town trying to push for peace. Jameson's troops are on the move. He is now fully armed. He is going that way around. There is nothing stopping him, and he continues in that way. In the midst of all of this, what we must bear in mind, from the back of the telegraph poles incidents right the way through, Jameson and Wilson and all the others there were using local people around them to do their dirty work in setting up the Ndebele nation. We can see that in black and white. There's no secret here. That is what transpired with that. And so they continued progressing down right the way through. They started off their first engagement they had, first war that they had was that Lalapans, Midlands. Right over there, the engagement was fierce. It was tough. The king's troops were caught a little bit off guard because they too were in the full knowledge that peace was being chased for, but somehow it did not go through. Jameson's troops washed the way through, going all the way through. They are now heading towards Shangane River, 25th of October, 1893. There at Boko, where the Harare Road crosses the Shangane River, they engaged in Suamin, the 2nd Battalion of His Royal Majesty. In Suamini, being led by Ndunankulu Chabalala. The fighting was deep, the fighting was heavy. The terrain was difficult, so Insuamini could not use its normal tactics. That groundwork of choppy level ground coming into the river, surrounding areas, was very good for those with the guns and the rifles. And so indeed, that is what happened. Insuamini was rolled over, but Chabalala, in his wisdom, when he saw that the battle was not going well, he released a large portion of his troops in Suamini to head back Bulawayo. Suamini, head back Bulawayo, because he could see how things were going, and this was not right. That was on the 25th of October. And they also sent word straight to the king, Ntabazinduna. Laba, these people are carrying firearms which we do not know. They have firearms, some of them which are as big as tree trunks, going on wheels. We do not know how they work. We do not see them work, but we are very worried about them. These are the king's spies telling the king in the royal crown. So we're looking at the 25th. We've just got a week to go before something happens, which is on the 4th of November, 4th November. 1 week that the king is told about this, he immediately summons Ndunankulu Mchana Khumalo. Khumalo, can you raise up the Mbizo regiment? It's Fuba Samandebele, the chest of the Ndebele nation. Crack troops. Mbizo regiment was a regiment that was kept in high gear all the time because there was unfinished business KwaZulu Natal. That business could come up at any time, and there must always be a brigade that is ready at any time. That business was not over. The cows, Inkomo, were still in dispute. And what transpired, was not yet over. So Mbizo was always in high gear. At the drop of a hat, they could do something. So he summons their commander-in-chief, Mchana Khumalo. Khumalo, I've heard word that these people coming towards us are pulling a new weapon. It is said it is a weapon that can hit far away. It is said that it is a weapon that hits very quickly. It is said that it is a weapon that cuts down trees, cuts down vegetation as it shoots. It is said it is a weapon that can cut a man in half. Khumalo, when you raise up Mbizo, do not raise it up far away. Let them crawl on their stomach in the vegetation, in the tall grass, round rocks, round streams, in riverbeds. Let them crawl until they are in striking distance of this patrol, so that our assegais in Konto can work. Because if we don't do that, we're in trouble. It was agreed.
Yeah.
It was agreed. They dispersed. Khumalo went in haste to the barracks of Mbizo to bring them up. But on his way, Khumalo Mchana rejected the king's advice. Because Khumalo Mchana was still having a question about King Lobengula, that he is not the rightful heir to the throne. His mother was less of a mother. Amate Amunyu was less of a mother. That seat required one who's fully fledged. That seat required Umazali Inkosi. That one who's chosen by the nation. That woman who's chosen by the nation to sire the next monarch. Lobengula did not fit that description. Hence Mchana Khumalo's resistance to the advice of the king. And he made up his own plan of how to fight this coming thing. And when he heard about the numbers, he said, look, we'll be done in tea time. This is nothing. Here we go now. The patrol is now reaching just the top end of the Bembesi River, coming into Ntabazinduna, coming into Gadade, right there. They too have spies. The spies tell them, Mbizo regiment has been called. They quickly go to Gadade. When you get to Gadade, you'll see a number of little outcrops in there. They went to the top of one of those outcrops that had views 360. And there in Gadade, they're the ones who chose this battle site because it is all low veld.
Yeah.
Hardly any trees, hardly any rocks. As far as the eye can see. They went on it, chose it, and said, we will wait for them here. They will come. And no doubt, Mbizo came. Mbizo came. They've been wound up so badly by what happened to Insuamini, Lapani Shangan. What happened in Alapansi? They were angry men, and these were the best of the nation. And so they were just waiting for any order the commander-in-chief would give them. Lo and behold, when they were far away, Mchana Khumalo rose them up. Forward, Madod. There they are forward. When they were still quite a distance off, the patrol opened up their boxes, opened up what they were carrying.
Yeah.
Maxim guns. Maxim guns had been invented recently. They've been tested in Europe, all over the world. They were quite new. They had seen how they work. They had tested them for long periods to see whether the barrel of the gun does not bend under the heat of the bullets going through. They had tested it near water, on rocks, on sand. They had never tested it in a live war. Gadade was the place to test it.
Wow.
In a live war. Where the conditions are not under your control.
Yeah.
Let's see how this maximum machine gun works. When they came in range at Gadade, Imbizo was coming from Kobulawayo looking north, as if you're looking at Harare. They were looking down on them. They opened up. It was a bloodbath. A bloodbath like anything. 6,000 plus troops. Instead of Mchana Kumalo saying after the first wave, let's stop. Let's go backwards. Let's have a tactical retreat. Even if you speak to even an army officer today in Harare, in Joburg, in America, in England, they will all tell you that having a tactical retreat is a good strategy because it gives you time to go back, to talk, to see, to strategize, and then to engage again, to move forward. Nhlanhlayamangwe Khumalo did not do that. When the first wave was cut down, he sent another one. That one was cut down, he sent another one. That one was cut down, he sent another one. That one was cut down, he sent another one. Before then, it was too late. When he saw that the Mbizo was nearly finished, he said, all of you go. And by force of numbers, they managed to silence the Maxim guns. When they silenced the Maxim guns on top of Gadade there, those that remained from the patrol, they got on horseback and ran round towards the back of Gadade. That's why if you go today and you look at Gadade from Esgodini side, from S6 side, you will see a road there that is still there. It's called the Whites Run. This is where they ran, on the Whites Run. It has been that name since 1893, the Whites Run. It is there. Bawankala, I'm talking history that is alive.
Yeah.
You don't need to uchaya matambo with it. You don't need to talk about many things here and there. This is alive. This is documented. It's there. It's breathing. And so after the Gadade there, word arrived at the king. This is what has happened to Imbizo. King Lobengula said, I can see this is it.
Yeah.
My best regiment is gone. That means I need to vacate the royal crown so that I too can do a tactical retreat out of here and move out. Nduna Sivalo set his godlo alight, burned it. They burnt it.
Okay, so Nduna Sivalo Mahlangu.
Yeah.
Was he given a go-ahead to do that by the king or not?
He was given the go-ahead by the king.
Okay.
To do that, because what was there was Isintu Sagiti, various other things were there. One of the other things that was there was also a sizable catchment of gold. Gold was there.
Yeah.
Jameson knew about the gold.
Yeah.
Forbes knew about the gold. The Afrikaner Rafa knew about the gold in the royal house.
Okay.
And so when they arrived one day later at Bulawayo, they immediately started searching for that gold in the royal house. When it was not found, Jameson said to Wilson, chase after the king. Chase after him, find where he has gone. Wilson was a young military man. Wilson had a lot of Omadlabzane, he had a lot of strength in him. He wanted to get him in amongst it. He was foolhardy.
Yeah.
Rafa, the Afrikaner, he was not that keen. He had tasted it esandwana in South Africa. He knew it was difficult, it was dangerous, and he knew, he said, I'm not going to go with you, Wilson and Forbes, after that, because I know it's dangerous in that way around. So they left and started following, shadowing the Mbembesi River.
Yeah.
To see where the king had got to, right away through Konopana, until they came through Konopana Pupu when they were coming out. Right. Now the issue here, it was a numberfold. When the Battle of Pupu happened, Ntshana Khumalo was now back with the king. Ntshana Khumalo was now also leading the remnants of Imbizo, with the remnants of Insugamini, with the remnants of other regiments there. Amongst them, they split out a plan to say, number one, plan one is to hold them here at Pupu. If possibly, take them out at Pupu.
Yeah.
Plan two, you, commander, shadow the king where he's going. Cicha ukunyathela kwakhe, so it is clear where he went. But lay in ambush just in case someone stumbles across. Commander number three, you will make sure that Inkosi passes uZambezi. Your one single job is to ensure that he passes uZambezi going into Eastern Zambia. Eastern Zambia, Zwangendaba. Zwangendaba, which is
yeah.
So head out and go that way around.
Yeah.
And so it transpired that that is exactly what happened. But Babankala, there's something that people don't understand.
Yeah.
In the destruction of Isigodlo by us, the disappearance of Inkosi by us meant that we kept the flame of Ndebele alive because we had never been beaten.
Yeah.
No one destroyed our royal crown, we did.
Yeah.
No one killed our king or arrested or beheaded our king, he disappeared. That is why if you look at the history of Ndebele, they have that stubbornness within them which says we have never been defeated. Whether you look at it from the left or from the right or whichever you look at it from, that flame was left there on purpose.
Yeah.
That is why Inkosi Lobengula said, I need to vacate here. That is called leadership. That is called leadership, whereby you are now looking at beyond the hill to say, how can my people survive? And what is it that I can give my people that will look after them in years to come and keep them as a nation in years to come? This is what this whole story is about, how it ends.
That's amazing. That's amazing. But having said the king crossed into Zambia to Zwangendaba's people there have been some articles saying that King Lobengula was buried there. But on our side, what we know is that he disappeared. What is the truth around that?
The truth around that there is going to be possibly left to people like me and yourself. Follow that trail. It is a historical trail. It is a voyage of discovery to find out what happened, how it happened. It is a mystery. All nations in the world all have a historical mystery. That is what defines a nation. For us, that is our mystery that goes there. So as I am speaking to you right now, it does not trouble me one bit if somehow someone would say, Chief, we saw the grave of Inkosi, Lapane Nkosikazi. I have no problem with that. Or we saw the grave at Matopo. I have no problem with that. Or we saw the grave at Eastern Zambia. I have no problem with that. Because that is the nature of the mystery that we are talking about here, whereby a monarch who had leadership saw the need for him to vacate the scene in order to give his people a hope. That is why when you look at our history, even from 1893 coming outwards, we were always uprising. We were always fighting. We were always doing that. People can only do that when they know that they were never defeated.
Yeah. All right. No, thanks very, very much for the account, the historical account of the Ndebele people and their prowess in the Barclay. No, it's just amazing, the history that you have given us. I hope a lot of people will learn from what you have just shared with us. Now, let's move on to the article that you have written, whereby the president of Zimbabwe has commissioned a memorial, a monument at Pupu, Bettyside. In your article, it seems you were disapproving. Maybe if you can share with us the reasons behind that.
Yes. The reasons behind that are so many. Mnangagwa and Zanu PF have tried to open a door to which they should not open. This matter is not their matter. This matter is my matter, is your matter, Bawankala, is a matter for the Zulu nation. And when I say the Zulu nation, I'm saying it in its fullest sense because in Zimbabwe, we have 12 national languages, which means we have 12 nations in Zimbabwe. A language belongs to a nation. A culture belongs to a nation. Cuisine belongs to a nation. And so I'm saying this one belongs to the Ndebele nation.
Yeah.
If anyone was going to do a memorial service about Pupu, it should have been the Ndebele nation having been consulted. The Ndebele nation taking the lead on that. The consultation of the Ndebele nation in its fullest extent. In my article, I said, who consulted the Ndebele nation about this? Can we have their names? Can we have the rationale of why it is they felt the need to do this memorial thing in excluding all of us? Why was there not a referendum for this issue? We are talking about the last battle our monarch fought on this soil. We are talking about a battle which was a chain of events that culminated in Pupu. Under no circumstances should the current administration have done what it did. Even if they did it miles away from Pupu, the mere fact that they were calling it a memorial or monument for Pupu is a no. There's no question about it whatsoever. And that is why I said in the article, if the monument is raised up there, is put up there, later on tomorrow, we have to erase that monument. It has no meaning to me. It has no meaning to the Ndebele nation. We were not part of it. We do not want it. We do not need it, because it is something that is sacred to us as a people. I use these strong words, Babangala, because we, the Ndebele nation, have tried to raise monuments where mass graves were done during the Ndebele genocide. Those monuments were blown up. Not by anyone, but blown up by the Zanu PF administration, because it is only they who got authority to use and keep explosives. So if they cannot give way and allow that to happen, why on earth would we give them the latitude to go and raise a monument at Pupu? And let us be very frank. One of the reasons why Pupu occurred, one of the reasons why Gadade occurred, one of the reasons why the Shangani engagement occurred, one of the reasons why Ilala Pansi occurred was because Wilson was using the local people around him to assist him in that way. At Gadade, we had local Africans, over 1,000, who assisted on Gadade. Where do they come from? We have to find that out. We have to establish that. Who were these Black people who assisted? We have to find that out. I would not stop anyone to say maybe some of those who assisted were the ancestors, the forebearers of Emmerson Mnangagwa, or the forebearers of Chiwenga. Who knows? We have to ask that question.
But having said that, both Mnangagwa and Chiwenga have said Mnangagwa's great-grandfather was raised within the royal court, and he fought in Gadade against the whites. Do you think that is a ploy of further distorting the Ndebele history, or what?
That is a huge distortion of our history, because whenever someone says something like that, you need to provide evidence. You need to put pen to paper. The academic scholars need to come in, look at it, verify it. More importantly, we have to start with Emmerson Mnangagwa or Chiwenga and follow their gene table to say exactly, yes, are they the descendants of those individuals that fought that battle there? All of that has not been done. All we have is just talk public relations in the media. And for me, I treat that with a large pinch of salt to say that's just public relations being done. I'm a man of facts. I deal in facts. I deal in historical facts, and I don't mind. And if it should come out that, yes, indeed, they are linked to that and the facts support that, I'll be the first one to say, yes, indeed, that was correct. But to date, that is just politicking.
It's just politicking. Yeah. In your article, you said that the Zanu PF administration has a history of distorting the Ndebele history. Maybe if you could give us some of the examples where they've done so.
There are plenty, once again. I'll begin with the broad brush to say, Babangala, when you look at our curriculum for primary and secondary schools in Zimbabwe, and we look at the history that's being taught there, really, to call it Ndebele history is to really laugh. It has no meaning. It has no depth towards it. It does not show any caliber that the people who put this curriculum together know what they're talking. When I was giving you and narrating the history of our place, our history, Wawankala, has got dates, times, locations, places, people. It is a proper history. And yet, since the last 43 years, that has been watered down, completely watered down. And even if we bring it up to the closer period of the Liberation War and coming up now, if a youngster now who's age 40 years of age, that individual will not fully understand the role that ZAPU and ZIPRO forces played in the liberation. These people were at the forefront. And if we look at the history and the documentation that is attached to ZAPU and ZIPRO forces, their work that they did was much, much, much more than the work that was done by ZANU and ZANLA forces. And yet nowadays, when you open any book, it is always ZANU and ZANLA forces, ZANU and ZANLA forces. Where are ZAPU and ZIPRO forces? Who are the forefront? Who are the biggest part of the liberation war that occurred? If you were to ask those who were in Ian Smith's army, the Rhodesian forces, the Sulu Scouts, all of them will say over and over and over again, we were afraid of ZIPRA forces. ZANLA forces, we didn't bother about them at all. And yet that history has been turned upside down with that. So we are looking at that situation of whereby that is not right. And to also show Babangala where our history has been turned upside down, we come to the issue of conferring hero status to Mchana Khumalo. The original Mchana Khumalo, not the Mchana Khumalo who is now president of the National Chiefs Council, but his ancestor. That Mchana Khumalo who was responsible for the complete wiping out of Mbizo regiment. The ZANU PF cannot just simply confer hero status upon him in our exclusion, because we are talking about our history. We are talking about our Mchana Khumalo. Say, did he qualify as a history? Did he qualify as a hero? Me and you should be debating that issue. Does he qualify to be a hero or does he not? But to add insult to injury, he is conferred a hero by the Zanu PF administration in our absence. And to make matters worse, Zanu PF administration is conferring hero status to Mchana Khumalo, the original, and not recognizing his superior, King Lobengula Kamzilikazi Kamashobane. You then immediately see that this is politics coming in. But to add injury into even worse than that, the same ZANU PF administration refuses to acknowledge our current monarch, who was made a monarch in September 1918, in 2018 in Bulawayo, His Majesty King Bulelani Kalobhungula Kamzilikazi. He's a reigning monarch, he is there. And yet the administration refuses to acknowledge him. So you are now left with something really, for want of a better word, someone would say this comes from Ngutsheni Mental Hospital. This is not right.
Having said that, there is something that has always bothered me. Why there is no statue of King Mzilikazi or King Lobhengula in Bulawayo?
That is the tribalism by which ZANU PF has been operating. I say it clearly because I have so much evidence for that. And of course, I know ZANU PF will reject that and they'll throw insults at Chief Ndiweni for saying such a thing. But ZANU PF has been operating on a tribal basis system. By rights, Lapha Babangala, if we're talking the truth, we are looking at Bulawayo. Everyone calls Bulawayo the city of kings and queens. Where are these queens? Where are these kings? When we look at the streets of Bulawayo, we should see our royalty there. We should not just sing Lobhengula Street. No, that should be His Majesty King Lobhengula Street. His Majesty King Mzilikazi Street. His Majesty King Mzilikazi Arcade and Shopping Center. Mzilikazi School that is there, Bulawayo, should be His Majesty King Mzilikazi School. They are constantly running away from saying the word king. King. And I'm saying to them, I'm saying to Zanu PF Administration, the war of liberation was exactly about such things, our African identity. If you have kings in Harare, that is fine. Anoint them as kings, call various streets after them as kings. But in Bulawayo, we have kings. I should be able to go to Bulawayo and find a street called Queen Los K, Mbangazita Street.
Yeah.
That should be there. Why is it not there? Tribalism.
Yeah. Yeah. This thing of tribalism, I just don't understand it. In your article, you put it very, very correctly that Zanu PF is still operating on the basis of tribalism.
Yeah.
Maybe just to help people out there who do not really know how Zanu operate on tribal basis. How would you explain that to the people?
There are a number of explanations I can bring, Babangala, but I think I'll choose a number which are very easily understood. Here's my jurisdiction in Ntabazinduna. In Ntabazinduna, I have a prison training depot. It is the only prison training depot in Zimbabwe. When they come for recruitment, even though my children in Ntabazinduna have 5 O levels and 3 A levels and can do everything, they cannot get into that recruitment and selection process to become a prison guard. What they tell me is they say, Baba Ndweni, a bus came overnight. It was full of people that had already been chosen. When I go over there to the prison training depot on the pass-out parade, and I'm looking at all the recruits who've passed out there, out of a passing out parade of maybe say 400 or 500 individuals, I might only see 1 or 2 Ndebele names amongst those. That is wrong. It's tribalism. Clean-cut tribalism. The same with the police training depot that is in Zimbabwe. I have one there in Ntabazinduna. It is the second biggest training depot, and after Morris training depot in Herald. The same process happens there. And yet in the documentation that I have, that is written there, it says that both of these 2 institutions must recruit 5% from the local people. We have never got even 1% recruitment. Never. That is raw tribalism that you see in your face. Raw. Such tribalism is dangerous. Very, very dangerous, because it can push a people too far. In my article, I said, the great man of God, Martin Luther King, said, if peace means I do not have my civil rights, I do not want that peace. This is from a man of God, from the Pupu. This is fire and brimstone from the Pupu, holding the Bible. I'll say it again for your readers so they understand it. Martin Luther King said, if peace means I do not have my civil rights, I do not want that peace. I would like Zanu PF to listen to that. Because it is really unacceptable what they're doing, and to constantly, and even the latest one, I was looking at some commission that's been set up, I think the Complaints Commission or Fraud or Corruption Commission coming through, and I look at the names of the last people to be interviewed for those positions. I saw one person from our area, that was Dube. The others, no. Good people, don't get me wrong. I know some of the beloved mouthpieces for Zanu PF are going to say Chief Ndiweni is a tribalist. He pushes tribalism. He does all of those things. I'm not all of those things. I'm just simply bringing to your table what the Zanu PF government is doing, so that you are now well informed about something that is wrong, something that should not be happening in Zimbabwe 2024 after 44 years of independence. This should not be happening because some of my people are lying in shallow graves in the Zambezi, in shallow graves in the Limpopo, having sacrificed for this so-called Zimbabwe. The descendants of those people must be treated right. They must be treated right. What is currently happening is definitely not what they sacrificed their lives for.
Yeah. Let's go back to the party of Pupu. Maybe let me include all the parties. And going forward for the Ndebele nation, what do you think needs to be done to preserve and to restore their dignity of what happened there? What do we need to do?
There it's easy, Babankala. We need to be given full authority as a people to sit down, to discuss, to have indaba, enkulu, big meeting, whether even if going as far as a referendum amongst ourselves, of how to commemorate all of these places. I was counting the other day that there are over 25 battles, sizable ones in our area.
Okay.
We need to have that time whereby we are the ones going forward in the commemoration of all of these places. And when dealing with that, we will need a sizable budget, a befitting budget to do these items. For example, at Gadade, there is no other place in Zimbabwe where more blood has been spilled fighting over a nation. Now, as I said in my article, that should have been done in the first 5 years of the office of this government. In the first 5 years, they should have completed that monument.
Yeah.
All that we have is a tiny little rock on the side of Harare Road, which I could do within one morning. For heaven's sake, we are talking about a pivotal point.
Yeah.
Where nation clashed against nation, race clashed against race, culture clashed against culture. The formation of a new system, a new order of government. This is profound. So as a people, we need to be given full charge. And before someone says, oh, yeah, Chief Plan, yes, here's a paper, we've done a commission, you can begin. No. We want the money first. If we're looking at the money to do the whole thing, we want the money first. Like a befitting memorial, say like for Gadade, would not cost less than $5 million US. Something proper and befitting. That's just for one place to do it right and proper. Because we have examples all over the world where other nations do befitting things. That's why I'm very quick to say will not cost less than $5 million US, just that one place. So that is what we need to be doing, pushing through with that. As a people, we need to push for that, to have that done in that particular way.
Yeah.
And the other thing, Babankala, I would be saying, for us to be going forward and preserving our culture and thinking as one, we need to be thinking as one. A terrible thing that I see on a regular occasion is you'll find Ndebele people who are just so concerned about just talking negatively. Nkala stands up and brings a nice proposal. Nyati will spend the whole day cutting down Nkala's proposal, cutting it down so it doesn't work. And yet Nyati does not have anything and is not willing to let Nkala fulfill what has come to him. That kind of attitude amongst ourselves, we need to get rid of. And when we do see it happening, we must be man enough and woman enough ukukuza that person to say, please, can you stop doing that? Can you please stop doing that? When you see someone who's just constantly backbiting and retarding our possible development, each man and woman should be able to say, please stop doing that. If you've got your idea, do it, but don't talk down that other Ndebele person who's trying to do their best.
Okay, to conclude, Ndiweni, all the battles which were fought, including Pupu, Gadade, Lalapans and the like, what significance do they play in the life of the nation?
They play a very, very big, significant part. Bawankala, we are an indigenous people. When you talk about land to me, I'm not looking at land as just real estate and property. To me, land speaks to me. To me, land has a voice, it is going with me. To me, sometimes I will go in the back garden and pick up land and speak to it in order to reach my ancestors.
Yeah.
When you go along Harare Road and you pass, there's a bend there just before, after Mbembesi, and just before you get to Gadade, that one bend there. In that one bend there, no matter what has been tried over the last 50 odd years, it has one of the highest accidents rates in the whole of the Harare Road.
Okay.
That just did not happen like that. Even my father, Ndweni, got the elders together, went over there. On the last occasions, we went there together to try and appease the air that is there. Because right there, you have warriors who are lying there. And they need to be appeased, they need to be talked to, they need to be engaged. We need to show the respect to that. It is all part and parcel of that. And if you extrapolate that conversation to cover our whole region, it is not surprising that the Ndebele nation is having such a hard time.
Yeah.
Because we have unfinished business which you and me have not completed in laying to rest officially, properly, our warriors and our forebearers who came before us. We have not done the right thing and completed the right thing. So these are not just battle sites. No, they are more than that. For the simple reason, and even bringing it up to the newer stage, the War of Liberation. When it began, the War of Liberation, Ubaba went Njelele. Having gone Njelele to ask permission to engage in this war, he proceeded.
Yeah.
When he came back, it was not completed in the cleansing of the nation. A cleansing which you can go back as far back as you like, to Mzilikazi, to Shaka, to Cetshwayo, to everyone knows that when an army goes out, when Ibuto goes out to battle, it is going into darkness. When it comes back, it needs to be cleansed.
Yeah.
So that it can now fit into the generality of society. They were not allowed to come from the war and go back straight as Ndlinzabo. No. They had to go past Ntabazinduna to be cleansed, to be made right. So we're not talking, Babankala, about something that is academic. We are talking about something that is alive, that is here, something that is waiting for me and you to stand up and rectify so that we can see our roadmap forward.
Yeah.
That is why I put pen to paper in that strong manner, objecting about what has been done to Pupu, because it is a far bigger thing. I said, giving another interview to another person, I said, if a man stands up and goes to the tune of another man, having not asked permission to do so, that is witchcraft.
Yeah.
Lawyer. What are you doing going to another man's tomb?
Yeah.
Not got permission. You are engaging in witchcraft.
Yeah.
And that is what Emmerson Mnangagwa was doing at Pupu, because he had not got our permission. That was witchcraft. That was witchcraft.
Okay. Thanks very, very much for coming and share these important messages. Maybe just as a last remark, directing to Mnangagwa about what he is doing or what he has done, what will be your words to him?
I would say to him, if we were sitting together, Emmerson, you are now an elderly man. I know you believe in culture. You have said that to me on many occasions, that you believe in culture. The life in you is now setting. Your age is telling that the life is setting in you. There comes a time when people need to do honorable things. For the sake of your own prosperity, for the sake of your own heritage, for your family, for your people, for your clan, you need to leave a good mark. It is the time to show leadership. This is the time to show leadership. There'll be many in Zanu telling you this, that, and the other, this, that, and the other, but I know that within yourself, you know the right thing to do. Step back. Step back from this encroachment on this matter. Step back. The people responsible for this matter are there. They know what to do. If you want to assist them from far behind, where you are not seen, where you're not heard. Let them do it themselves. The sun is setting on your time. This is the time for you to show leadership so that history is not scathing upon you. That even in your old age, you refused to see the light. That's what I'll say to him.
No, thanks very much. Siyabonga kubalaleli Material Broadcasting Corporation. Lona ke nguthulano kaNkani. Asibonge kakhulu uNdunankulu uChief Nhlanhlayamangwe Ndiweni. Siyabonga kakhulu ba.
Siyabonga baba. Siyabonga kakhulu.
Okay.